Classical conditioning is when someone learns to react to one thing because it's been linked with something else that naturally causes that reaction. For example, I might naturally get scared when I see a bear, but if I see a bear one day when I'm hiking, I might learn to associate hiking with bears. Soon enough, I will associate hiking with a feeling of fear, regardless of whether there are bears present. This phenomenon was first described by Russian physiologist Ivan Pavlov in the early 20th century during his research on the digestive systems of dogs. Pavlov observed that dogs would begin to salivate not only when food was presented, but also when they heard the footsteps of the assistant bringing the food. This led to the discovery of what he termed conditioned reflexes. In classical conditioning, there are key components: the unconditioned stimulus, which naturally and automatically triggers a response; the unconditioned response, which is the natural reaction to the unconditioned stimulus; the conditioned stimulus, which is originally neutral and becomes associated with the unconditioned stimulus; and the conditioned response, which is the learned response to the previously neutral stimulus. A classic example is Pavlov's experiment, where the unconditioned stimulus, food, produced the unconditioned response, so salivation. After repeated pairings with a conditioned stimulus of footsteps, the footsteps alone could trigger salivation, now a conditioned response. Pavlov also managed to achieve this by swapping out the footsteps with a bell. Two significant benefits of classical conditioning are its applications in therapy and education. In therapy, classical conditioning techniques like systematic desensitization and exposure therapy are used to treat phobias and anxiety disorders. For example, by gradually exposing a person to a feared object or context in a controlled manner while teaching relaxation techniques, the fear response can be diminished. In education, a teacher might play a particular piece of music before starting a fun activity. Over time, students begin to feel excited and happy whenever they hear that music, even before the activity starts. However, classical conditioning has its limitations. One major limitation is that it can be difficult to generalize findings from controlled experimental settings to complex real-world environments. The controlled conditions under which classical conditioning is studied in the lab do not always translate seamlessly to everyday situations where multiple variables and stimuli interact. Another limitation is that the classical conditioning primarily focuses on involuntary, reflexive behaviors and doesn't account for the complexity of human actions that involve conscious thought and decision-making. This restricts its applicability in understanding and modifying a wide range of human behaviors. For more on this topic, read the articles in the pinned comments where I cover many examples to help with your understanding. I've also left some related videos on the screen for you to watch next.